Ravi walked slowly through the crowded market of Station Nara. The hum of engines, the chatter of traders, and the metallic scent of machines filled the air. Aliens of every shape and size moved from stall to stall carrying goods or shouting their prices. Some traded in food, others in rare minerals, and some even traded in beings. Ravi had been to this market many times, but today he felt a strange pull toward the less crowded parts of the station. He turned a corner and found himself in a narrow alley. The crowd thinned and the air grew colder. There, in the shadows, something caught his attention. A small figure was chained to a post. She was sitting on the cold floor, her knees drawn to her chest and her large eyes stared blankly at nothing. Her skin shimmered faintly in the dim light, reflecting soft colors of blue and silver. She was thin and frail, and her long hair fell in tangled strands over her shoulders. Ravi's heart clenched. He had seen many strange things in the market, but he had never seen anyone treated like this. He approached slowly, careful not to startle her. The closer he got, the more he noticed the scars along her arms and the wear in her clothes. She had been here for a long time, and yet no one paid attention. A group of traders laughed nearby. One of them said, "Still alive, huh? That one refuses to obey. Useless alien." The others chuckled and walked away, leaving her alone again. Ravi knelt down at a safe distance. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. The girl flinched but did not answer. Her eyes were wide with fear and she did not move. Ravi understood that she had been ignored and punished for years. She did not expect kindness. Ravi looked at the chains. They were heavy metal cuffs that dug into her wrists. The chain itself was long enough to let her sit or lie down, but not to move freely. He frowned. How could anyone treat another being like this? "Why is she chained like this?" Ravi asked one of the traders passing by. The trader shrugged. "She refuses to work. She does not obey. No one wants her, but she's still alive, so we keep her. Maybe someone will buy her someday." Ravi shook his head. He could not understand how someone could think this way. To him, she was not property. She was a living being, and she deserved respect. He looked back at her. She had not moved. Her eyes seemed to follow him, cautious and wary. She did not speak, and Ravi did not push. He knew it would take time for her to trust anyone. "Do you want to come with me?" he asked softly. His voice was calm, filled with a quiet determination. The girl blinked. She did not respond. Ravi realized that words alone were not enough. She had been silent for so long that speaking might feel strange or even dangerous to her. He stayed there kneeling and did not force her to answer. Minutes passed. The market noise faded around them as Ravi focused on her. Finally, he spoke again. "I'll take you. You do not have to stay here. You do not have to be afraid anymore." For a moment, she did not move. Then slowly she lifted her head. Her eyes met his. They were large, shimmering, and filled with a mix of curiosity and fear. Ravi smiled gently. He did not reach for the chains. He did not try to touch her. He only waited. A guard approached, noticing Ravi. "Hey, you can't just take her. She belongs to the market." Ravi stood, his posture calm but firm. "She is not yours to keep. I will take her, and I will make sure she is safe." The guard frowned, but Ravi's voice carried a confidence that made him pause. No one had ever spoken like this before. "Fine," the guard said after a moment. "But do not expect her to behave." "She will not obey," Ravi nodded. He did not care. He had seen enough to know that she needed care, not orders. He reached for the chains carefully and unlocked them with a key he had asked for from the market authority. The girl did not flinch this time. She simply sat still as the chains fell away from her wrists. For the first time in years, she was free to move. Yet she did not move. Her fear was deep and her mind was not used to freedom. Ravi knelt again, placing a small bag of food near her. "You can eat when you are ready," he said. She looked at the food but did not touch it. She watched him, studying his face as if trying to understand him. Ravi smiled softly. He could see her curiosity growing, slowly replacing the fear. "I am Ravi," he said. "I will take care of you. You do not need to be afraid anymore." The girl tilted her head, a small gesture that felt like acknowledgement. She did not speak, but Ravi understood that trust could not be forced. It had to grow. Ravi prepared to leave the market. He did not want to draw attention to them. The market was loud and chaotic, and he did not want anyone to stop them. He carried a small pack with supplies and waited for the girl to move. Finally, she stood wobbly on her legs. She looked at him with uncertainty. Ravi extended his hand slowly. She hesitated but placed her hand in his. It was small and cold, but the grip was firm. Together, they walked out of the alley and toward the transport that would take them to Ravi's home on the edge of the station. Along the way, Ravi kept talking softly, telling her about the station, about the small apartment he lived in, and about the quiet corner where she could rest. She listened, her eyes wide and cautious, but she did not speak. Ravi did not mind. He knew that her silence was not refusal. It was protection, a way to survive years of neglect and fear. By the time they reached the transport, she had relaxed slightly. She did not pull away from his hand. Ravi smiled at the small progress. It was not much, but it was enough for today. The ride to his home was quiet. Ravi spoke gently, describing the city outside the station windows. The lights reflected on her shimmering skin, and she watched them silently. Ravi noticed a faint smile, a tiny movement that made him hopeful. When they arrived at his apartment, Ravi opened the door and led her inside. The place was small but clean, with a soft bed, a kitchen, and a few plants he had grown himself. He placed a blanket on the floor for her, not forcing her to use the bed yet. "You can rest here," he said. "You do not need to move if you do not want to." She nodded slightly. It was the first sign of communication, and Ravi felt a small surge of happiness. He brought her food and water, placing it near her, and stepped back. She looked at the food but still did not eat. Ravi understood. It would take time for her to feel safe enough to eat. He spent the rest of the day preparing the apartment, making small adjustments to make her comfortable. He placed soft lights around the room, moved furniture to create open space, and even left a small window open to let the cool night air in. When night came, Ravi sat quietly on the edge of his bed, watching her. She had curled up on the blanket on the floor, her eyes half closed but not asleep. He understood that she was still alert, still cautious. It would take time for her to fully trust him. Ravi did not push. He knew that the small apartment, the quiet voice, and the simple gestures of care were more important than words. He would wait for her to open up slowly on her own. As he looked at her, he realized something important. Freedom was not just removing the chains. It was giving her the space to heal, to trust, and to feel safe for the first time in years. Ravi felt a quiet determination. He would protect her. He would help her learn that not all beings wanted to harm her. And most importantly, he would show her that kindness could exist even in a harsh market where people often ignored suffering. For the first time, the girl who had been chained for years felt a small flicker of hope. She did not speak, but her eyes told a story. She had seen cruelty and neglect, but perhaps, just perhaps, she could see a chance for something different. Ravi watched her quietly and whispered softly, "You are safe now." And for the first time in a long time, she believed him. Ravi woke early the next morning. The soft hum of the station filled the small apartment as he quietly prepared breakfast. He did not want to disturb Mira, the alien girl who had been chained for years. Yet he knew food and care were important first steps toward healing. He laid out small bowls of protein-rich paste and clean water near the blanket where she slept. Mira stirred slightly at the scent. She peeked out from under the blanket, her large eyes blinking at him. She had not eaten in years while chained in the market, and even the thought of food made her nervous. Ravi knelt beside her, keeping his voice soft and calm. "You do not need to eat now if you are not ready," he said. "But when you are, it is safe here." Mira tilted her head, studying him. She did not speak, but her eyes followed every small movement he made. She seemed curious, yet cautious. Ravi understood this. Years of chains, neglect, and fear could not disappear in a day. He waited patiently, showing her the food without forcing her to touch it. After a while, she hesitantly reached out and took a small spoonful. Her hands trembled slightly, and Ravi smiled quietly. He did not speak. Instead, he nodded, letting her know that she had done well. "Good," he whispered. "Take your time. No one will hurt you here." The small apartment became their world. Ravi spent the day slowly introducing Mira to its simple routines. He showed her the bed, the clean clothes, and the small window where she could watch the stars. Mira moved cautiously, touching surfaces and examining items as though discovering them for the first time. Ravi realized that for her, even the smallest comforts were new experiences. Freedom was not just removing chains, it was allowing her to explore without fear. By midday, Mira had eaten more. She drank water and even smiled faintly at Ravi when he offered her a clean cloth to wipe her hands. The smile was small, but to Ravi it was like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Do you have a name?" he asked gently. The girl hesitated. Her lips parted slightly, and then she whispered, "Mira." Ravi repeated the name softly. "Mira, that is a beautiful name." She nodded, still shy, still unsure. It was clear that speaking was not easy for her. The chains had not only trapped her body, but had also silenced her voice. Ravi understood this deeply. He knew that trust would take time, and he was ready to wait. Over the next few days, Ravi introduced small routines. He cooked simple meals, cleaned the apartment, and spoke gently to Mira. Sometimes he read aloud stories from old books he had found in the station library. He read of distant planets, of brave humans and aliens working together, and of civilizations overcoming challenges. Mira listened, her eyes wide and curious. She did not speak much, but Ravi noticed her imagination awakening. One evening, as the sun dipped below the station's horizon, Mira ventured to the small window Ravi had left open. She pressed her hands against the glass, staring at the glowing city below. Ravi sat beside her silently. "It is safe," he said softly. "You do not need to be afraid of the lights or the people down there. You can watch without worry." Mira looked at him, her eyes reflecting both the lights of the city and the shimmer of her own alien skin. Slowly, she leaned her head on his shoulder. It was the first time she sought comfort from another being. Ravi kept still, allowing her the choice. He did not push. "You are not alone anymore," he said gently. "I will stay with you. You will not be chained or hurt again." That night, Mira slept more peacefully than she had in years. The blanket that had seemed so foreign to her now held warmth and security. Ravi watched her sleep, thinking about the long journey that had brought her here. He wondered how many others in the market had ignored her suffering. He wondered how many had laughed or turned away. And he promised himself that he would make up for every lonely moment she had endured. As days passed, Mira began to speak more. Simple words at first: food, water, sleep. She asked questions about small things in the apartment, about plants and stars and the soft humming of the station. Ravi answered patiently, knowing that every word she spoke was a victory. "You like this?" he asked one morning, pointing to a small plant he had placed near the window. Mira nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. Her voice was soft but clear, and Ravi's heart lifted at hearing it. "Good," he said with a smile. "It grows well with sunlight and water, just like you will grow here." Mira blinked at him, then tilted her head. She was beginning to understand that she could live differently. She did not have to be afraid all the time. She did not have to remain silent or hidden. Ravi's kindness was teaching her what freedom meant. One afternoon, while Ravi was cleaning the small apartment, Mira ventured to explore the outer balcony. It was not far, only a small platform overlooking the city lights, but to her, it was a world beyond chains. She stepped carefully, testing her balance. When she looked down, the city stretched endlessly below, and she gasped softly. Ravi approached slowly. "It is beautiful, isn't it?" he said. Mira nodded, holding onto the railing. I never saw this," she whispered. "You can see it now," Ravi said gently, "and you can choose to see more. You can choose your life, Mira." For the first time, Mira felt a spark of hope. The chains in the market had tried to take everything from her: her voice, her freedom, her dreams. But now, standing on the balcony, she realized that the world could be different. She could be different. Ravi noticed her fascination with the stars. Every evening he would take her to the balcony and point out constellations, moons, and the passing ships. Mira listened, sometimes asking questions about the ships or the planets they would visit. Ravi encouraged her curiosity. "You want to see more than this station?" he asked one night. Mira's eyes widened. "Yes," she said softly. Ravi smiled. "Then one day we will go. You will see planets, stars, and places no one chained you can imagine." Trust between them grew slowly, like a seed taking root. Ravi never forced Mira to speak or move faster than she was ready. He understood that patience was the key. Each small action, eating, exploring, speaking, was a step toward reclaiming the years stolen from her. One afternoon, while Ravi was repairing a small transport drone, Mira approached him. She carried a small tool, mimicking his actions. Ravi looked at her and smiled. "You want to help?" he asked. Mira nodded, her eyes shining. "Yes," she whispered. Ravi handed her the tool carefully. She held it awkwardly at first, then began to imitate his movements. Together they worked on the drone. She made mistakes, but Ravi encouraged her gently, never scolding, never rushing. By the end, the drone hummed to life and Mira's face lit up with pride. "You did it," Ravi said. "You made it work." Mira smiled, a genuine smile, full of hope. For the first time in years, she felt capable. She was not a prisoner. She was not useless. She was Mira, a girl who could learn, grow, and dream again. As evening fell, Ravi and Mira sat on the balcony, watching the lights of the station and the stars beyond. Mira leaned against him, her head resting on his shoulder. She was still cautious, still fragile, but her heart was opening. "You saved me," she whispered. "No," Ravi said softly. "You saved yourself by trusting me. I only gave you a chance." Mira closed her eyes, feeling the warmth and safety she had never known. The chains of the market were gone, but the journey of trust and healing had only just begun. Ravi knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, but he also knew that together, they could face them. The bond between them was quiet but strong. It did not need grand words or sudden actions. It was built in small moments. Food shared, trust given, freedom explored, and hope rediscovered. And in that quiet apartment on the edge of Station Nara, a fragile beginning was turning into a new life. Mira was no longer a girl chained in a market. She was free. She was learning to live again. And for Ravi, the small human who had stepped forward and said, "I'll take her," the reward was beyond measure. He looked at Mira, now sleeping peacefully on the blanket, and whispered softly, "Tomorrow, we start learning more about each other. Tomorrow, we start discovering the world together." And for the first time in a long time, Mira dreamed not of chains or fear, but of stars, freedom, and the quiet strength of trust. Weeks passed since Ravi had rescued Mira from the market. Their bond had grown quietly, built on trust, patience, and small routines. Mira had started speaking more, exploring the apartment and even helping Ravi with minor tasks. But Ravi began to notice something unusual about her. One evening, while Ravi was repairing a small generator, Mira sat quietly on the balcony, staring at the city lights below. Her eyes shimmered in a soft blue glow, reflecting the distant neon. Ravi noticed it but did not comment. He had learned that sudden questions could frighten her. "Mira," he said gently, "come inside. It is getting cold." She shook her head slightly. "I like to watch," she whispered. Ravi smiled. "Okay, just don't stand too close to the edge." Mira's attention was elsewhere. She seemed to be listening to something that Ravi could not hear. Her body was tense and her hands trembled slightly. He stepped closer, concerned. "Are you okay?" he asked. Mira blinked and shook her head. I remember something," she said softly. Ravi sat beside her. "Do you want to tell me?" She hesitated, looking down at her hands. "Long ago, before I was taken, my world, it was not like this. It was bright. We had cities in the clouds and knowledge that was old, very old, my people. We studied and learned things that helped many worlds." Ravi listened, intrigued. "Your people sound amazing." Mira nodded slowly. "They were proud. But then war came. Other beings wanted our knowledge. They destroyed our world. I escaped. I was taken. I was chained because they thought I could tell secrets, but I did not. I could not." Ravi felt a pang of sadness. She had lost so much, yet she was still alive, still trusting him. He reached out, gently touching her shoulder. "You are safe now, Mira. No one can hurt you here." She looked at him, eyes wide. "Safe, yes. But I must be careful. My mind, they wanted it. My people's knowledge. It is hidden in me. I did not want it to fall into wrong hands." Ravi frowned. "Your mind has knowledge? What kind of knowledge?" Mira's lips pressed together. "Old technology? Ideas from before the wars. Things that can change worlds. I cannot explain it fully. Not yet, but they wanted it. That is why I was chained for so long." Ravi's mind raced. He realized Mira was not just any alien girl. She carried the memory of a civilization, secrets that could help or harm countless beings. But most importantly, she had survived, protected herself, and now had him to help her. Over the next few days, Ravi observed Mira closely. He noticed small signs of her hidden abilities. Sometimes her skin shimmered faintly when she was afraid or stressed. Other times, when she moved her hands near machines, they seemed to respond, humming softly as if recognizing her presence. Ravi did not fully understand it, but he knew it was unusual. "Mira," he said one evening, "do you want to try showing me what you can do?" She shook her head quickly. No, not yet. I am afraid. I do not want to hurt you or anyone. Ravi nodded. I understand. But you can trust me. I will not let anyone be hurt. Mira looked at him, her eyes searching. You really mean it? I do, Ravi said gently. I promise to keep you safe. I will not break that promise. Slowly she nodded. She did not demonstrate her abilities yet, but Ravi could see that the trust was growing. She felt safe enough to consider opening a part of herself that she had hidden for years. One afternoon, Ravi decided to take Mira outside the apartment for the first time since her rescue. He wanted her to experience the world beyond their walls, to see that life could be safe and full of wonder. He led her to a quiet park on the edge of the station. Small trees grew under artificial lights and water fountains sparkled in soft blue hues. Mira looked around in awe. She had never seen such open spaces since being taken. Her eyes widened as she stepped cautiously onto the soft ground. Ravi held her hand gently, letting her feel the textures under her feet. This is your choice, he said softly. You do not have to walk if you do not want to. You can stay here with me. Mira shook her head. I want to try, she whispered. They walked slowly, side by side. Mira touched the leaves, listened to the water, and even laughed softly when a small creature ran past. It was the first time Ravi had heard her laugh, and it was a sound that warmed his heart. As they sat by the fountain, Mira spoke quietly. Ravi, I remember more now. Things from my world, plans and designs. My people had machines that could travel faster than light, heal without medicine, and even move objects with thought. I never thought anyone would care. Until you, Ravi nodded. I care, Mira, and together we can decide what to do with your knowledge. We will use it to help, not harm. She looked at him, eyes glistening. I want that. I want to help, but I am scared. If they find me, if the traders or others come, I cannot let them take me again. Ravi squeezed her hand. I will protect you. I promise. You are not alone anymore. Mira leaned against him, her trust deepening. She had spent years in chains, silenced and afraid. Now for the first time she felt she could make choices. She could speak and she could dream again. That night, back in the apartment, Mira sat by the window, gazing at the stars. Ravi joined her, pointing out constellations and explaining the passing ships. Do you think my people's knowledge can help others? She asked softly. I believe it can, Ravi said. But we must be careful. Knowledge is powerful and it must be used wisely. That is why you are important, Mira. You can guide it with your heart, not just your mind. Mira thought about that. She had always feared her abilities, thinking they would cause harm. But with Ravi, she began to understand that her mind could be a gift if used with care. In the following days, Mira began experimenting quietly. She touched small machines in the apartment, observing how they responded. Lights flickered, wires hummed, and tiny devices moved slightly without physical contact. She gasped softly each time. Ravi, she whispered one morning, I can do more than I thought. But I need your help to control it. Ravi smiled warmly. We will practice together, slowly, step by step. No rush, Mira nodded, feeling hope. She realized that her mind, her past, and her abilities were no longer threats to her. They were parts of herself she could reclaim safely. Ravi's patience and care had given her the chance to become more than a survivor. She could become herself again. One evening, a faint sound from the station reached their apartment. A trader from the market had spotted Mira and asked questions about her whereabouts. Ravi noticed her tense immediately. They are looking for me, Mira whispered, her voice tight with fear. Ravi placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We will stay safe. I will not let them find you. You are protected, Mira took a deep breath. For the first time in years, she realized that she did not have to run. She did not have to hide. She had someone who would fight for her. Together, they began planning ways to strengthen her safety. Ravi reinforced the apartment, added locks and alarms, and taught Mira simple defensive measures. Mira's mind, once silenced by fear, now started to understand the practical side of survival. Weeks turned into months, and Mira grew stronger, more confident. She still remained cautious, but she began to explore the limits of her abilities, practicing under Ravi's guidance. Her mind shimmered with the hidden knowledge of her people, yet she learned to control it rather than fear it. Ravi watched with pride. Mira had come so far from the girl who had been chained in the market. She was learning, growing, and beginning to embrace her true self. The apartment that had once been just a small space of refuge was now a place of learning, trust, and hope. One night, Mira spoke softly as they looked at the stars. "Ravi, do you think one day I can help others with what I know?" Ravi smiled, placing a hand on hers. "I know you can, Mira. You have the heart, the mind, and now the freedom to make a difference. One day you will." Mira nodded, feeling a quiet determination. The chains of the market were gone, but her journey had only just begun. With Ravi by her side, she would explore her abilities, reclaim her knowledge, and perhaps even discover the greater purpose her people had intended. The stars shone above them, and Mira felt a flicker of hope deep within her. She was no longer a girl chained and silenced. She was Mira, free, strong, and ready to face whatever challenges awaited. Life in the small apartment on the edge of Station Nara had settled into a quiet rhythm. Mira's trust in Ravi had grown, and she was exploring her abilities under his careful guidance. The apartment, once a safe haven, had become a place of learning and quiet joy. Mira had even begun to laugh occasionally, a sound that warmed Ravi's heart. Yet peace rarely lasted long in the busy market station. One morning, Ravi noticed unusual activity outside the apartment. Traders and figures from the market were moving swiftly, scanning the area as if looking for someone. Ravi's instincts immediately told him something was wrong. He glanced at Mira, who was sitting by the window watching the city lights below. "Ravi, I feel it," she whispered, her voice tight with concern. "They are here. They are looking for me." Ravi's eyes narrowed. He had feared this day would come. "Stay calm, Mira. We will handle this together," he said. He moved quickly to secure the doors and windows, reinforcing the apartment with whatever tools and locks he had at hand. Mira stood beside him, her hands trembling slightly. "I am scared," she admitted. Ravi placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I know, but you are not alone. I will not let anyone take you again. Trust me." As the day passed, the sounds of the market grew louder. Traders and mercenaries arrived outside searching for Mira. Their voices carried through the streets, calling her name and demanding information. Ravi knew they were determined, but he also knew that fear could not control him. "They think they can find me," Mira said quietly. "I cannot let them. I cannot be taken again." Ravi nodded. "We will not let that happen. We need to stay calm and think." That night, the group of traders broke into the street outside their apartment. Ravi and Mira could see their shadows moving along the walls. The intruders were armed, but Ravi refused to panic. He had learned that courage and careful planning were more powerful than fear. "Stay behind me," he whispered to Mira. "No sudden moves. We will get through this." The intruders tried to break in, forcing the door with their tools. Ravi held it shut with all his strength. Mira watched, terrified, yet she felt a strange pull in her mind. Her abilities, which had been growing quietly, were awakening. She placed her hands on the wall beside her and concentrated. A faint shimmer spread through her skin, and the metal tools of the intruders began to vibrate and hum. What is happening?" Ravi asked, astonished. Mira's eyes glowed faintly. I can stop them," she whispered. The intruders struggled as their weapons and tools failed. Sparks flew from their equipment, and some stumbled, losing balance. Mira's power, controlled by her will, disrupted the machines around them without harming the intruders physically. Ravi realized that she had more strength than he had imagined, yet she feared using it fully. "Keep calm," he said softly. "You are doing well. They will not hurt you here." Mira focused, channeling her energy carefully. The intruders, frustrated and confused by the sudden failure of their tools, finally retreated. Their voices echoed angrily through the streets, but they did not enter the apartment. Ravi and Mira watched from the window as the group left, defeated by the girl they had tried to capture. Mira sank to the floor, trembling. I scared them away," she whispered, awe and fear mixing in her voice. Ravi knelt beside her. "Yes, you did. But it is okay to be scared. You are learning to control your power. You are stronger than anyone knows." She looked at him, eyes wide. "Stronger, yes. But what if they come back? What if they bring more people?" Ravi thought carefully. "Then we will be ready." "You are not alone, Mira. We will face them together, and you will use your strength to protect yourself, not to harm others." Mira nodded slowly. She had always feared her abilities, thinking they could bring danger. But now she understood that with guidance she could use them safely. She could protect herself and those she cared about. Over the next few days, Ravi and Mira prepared for any potential threat. Ravi reinforced the apartment, installed alarms, and created safe spaces where they could hide if necessary. Mira practiced using her abilities in small ways, learning control and precision. Her confidence grew with each exercise, and Ravi encouraged her every step of the way. One afternoon, while they were outside for fresh air, a small ship passed by. Mira watched it carefully, remembering her past. "They are watching me," she whispered. "They want to know where I am." "They will not stop," Ravi took her hand. "Let them watch. They cannot enter here and they cannot take you. You have the power and the mind to stay safe. I will help you." Mira nodded, feeling a quiet strength. She realized that fear had no power over her when she had someone she trusted. Ravi's presence was more than protection. It was reassurance that she could face the world again. That evening, the intruders returned with reinforcements. This time, they were more organized, using devices to scan the apartment and detect any signs of life. Ravi and Mira remained calm. Mira focused, extending her awareness subtly, allowing her mind to sense the movements of the intruders. Her abilities had become sharper, more controlled. She could disrupt their devices without revealing herself. The intruders were frustrated as their scans failed. They called to each other, demanding answers, but Mira's quiet power prevented them from finding their target. Ravi watched in awe as she maintained her control, her fear replaced by determination. Finally, the group left, realizing that capturing Mira was impossible. She had proven that she was no longer a passive victim, but a being capable of defending herself. Ravi and Mira sat together, exhausted but relieved. "You did it, Mira," Ravi said softly. "You protected yourself and me. You are stronger than they ever expected." Mira looked at him, her eyes reflecting both relief and newfound confidence. I can control it now. I will not be taken again." "Not by anyone," Ravi nodded. "And I will always be here. Together, we are stronger than any threat." The next morning, Mira and Ravi began discussing the future. The market was no longer safe, and staying hidden was only a temporary solution. They needed a plan to move beyond the station and explore the galaxy safely. Mira, now more confident in her abilities, agreed to help Ravi prepare a small ship for travel. They worked side by side, Mira using her knowledge of her people's technology to repair and improve the ship. Ravi provided guidance, patience, and encouragement. Slowly, the ship became ready, a symbol of freedom and possibility. As they finished their preparations, Mira looked at Ravi with determination. "We can leave this place. We can go anywhere. I want to see the stars, the planets, and the worlds my people dreamed of." Ravi smiled. "Then we will. We are ready." The threat of the traitors and mercenaries had tested them, but it had also strengthened their bond. Mira had faced fear, learned control, and discovered the extent of her abilities. Ravi had proven his courage and loyalty, standing firm when danger arrived. Together, they were no longer just a human and an alien girl. They were partners, ready to face the challenges of the universe. As night fell, Mira looked out at the stars, feeling a sense of hope she had never known. The chains of the market were gone, and the threats of the present could be faced with courage and skill. She had survived the past, controlled her abilities in the present, and now had a chance to shape her future. Ravi placed a hand on hers. "Tomorrow we begin our journey. We will leave Station Nara and explore the galaxy together. You are free, Mira, and your story is just beginning." Mira nodded, her heart filled with determination and trust. The market, the chains, and the threats were behind her. Ahead lay a universe full of possibilities, challenges, and discoveries. Together with Ravi, she would face them all. And in the quiet apartment on the edge of the station, Mira smiled for the first time in years. She was no longer a girl chained and silenced. She was free, strong, and ready to claim her place in the stars. The first light of Station Nara reflected off the metal walls of the apartment as Ravi and Mira prepared for their journey. The quiet hum of machinery and distant chatter of the station created a calm rhythm. Today was the day they would leave the station behind and explore the galaxy together. Ravi checked the small ship one last time. The engines were ready, the navigation systems calibrated, and the supplies packed carefully. Mira stood beside him, her hands glowing faintly with the shimmer of her abilities. She had grown so much in the weeks since he had rescued her. She no longer flinched at sudden movements. She no longer hesitated to speak, and she had learned to control the power that once terrified her. "I am ready," Mira said softly, her voice steady. Ravi smiled. "I'm glad to hear that. We will face new worlds, Mira, but we will do it together. They left the apartment quietly, avoiding the main streets where traders and mercenaries could still be watching. The station was waking up and small crowds began to gather near the docks. Some glanced at them curiously, noticing the alien girl and the human companion. Others looked away, too busy with their own lives to pay attention. As they boarded the ship, Mira paused at the entrance. She touched the metal walls, remembering the chains of the market and the long years of fear. A wave of determination washed over her. She would never be chained again, and she would never let fear control her. Ravi noticed her expression. "It is okay to be nervous," he said. "But remember, you are in control now. This is your choice," Mira nodded. She had spent so long being powerless that choosing freedom now felt strange but exhilarating. She took a deep breath and stepped fully into the ship, feeling the hum of energy under her feet. Once inside, Ravi guided her to the pilot seat. "You do not need to fly the ship if you do not want to. I will do it. But I want you to see everything. You are free to look, learn, and participate as much as you like." Mira's eyes sparkled as she studied the controls. "I want to help," she said. "I want to learn everything." Ravi laughed softly. "Then we will learn together." The ship lifted off quietly, leaving the docks behind. The station shrank beneath them, a mass of metal, lights, and movement. Mira pressed her hands to the glass, her eyes wide with wonder. She had never seen the world from this height, and the freedom it represented filled her heart with joy. "You are free," Ravi whispered. "No one can chain you. No one can control you." Mira smiled, a true smile that came from deep inside. She had survived fear, neglect, and captivity. Now she could soar among the stars, unafraid and full of hope. As the ship entered open space, Mira's abilities became useful in a new way. She could sense energy flows around them, subtle currents in the engines and navigation systems. With Ravi's guidance, she began to understand how her people had used knowledge and energy to travel faster than light, to heal and to interact with technology in ways humans could not. "This is incredible," she said. "I never thought I could do this." "You can," Ravi said. "You just needed the chance to trust yourself." Mira nodded, her confidence growing. She was no longer the silent, chained girl of the market. She was a being capable of wonder, strength, and courage. Days passed as they traveled through the galaxy. Mira learned to control her powers fully, using them to assist Ravi in navigating the ship and monitoring energy systems. Together they explored small planets, visited trading stations, and even helped stranded travelers. Mira's knowledge, combined with Ravi's courage and determination, allowed them to solve problems that others could not. One day, they arrived at a peaceful planet covered in green forests and blue rivers. Mira stepped onto the soft grass, feeling the warmth of the sun. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply, feeling connected to life in a way she had never imagined. "I never thought I would feel this," she said softly. "So much life, so much beauty." Ravi smiled. "And now you can see it freely. No chains, no fear, just life, Mira." They spent days exploring the planet. Mira learned to interact with local creatures, using her abilities to communicate gently with them. She helped repair broken devices and taught Ravi small ways to improve the station equipment they had brought. Her knowledge from her people, once a secret she feared to reveal, became a tool for good. One evening, as the sun set over the forest, Mira sat beside Ravi on a small hill overlooking a river. "Ravi," she said quietly, "I want to do more."
"I want to help others who are like me."
"Those who are trapped, silenced, or afraid." Ravi placed his hand on hers. "Then you will. You have the heart and the strength. Together we can find them and give them hope, just like I gave you hope." Mira smiled. The idea of helping others gave her a purpose she had never known. Her people's knowledge, once feared, could now be a force for good. She could protect, teach, and inspire. As they prepared to leave the planet, they encountered a small group of travelers in distress. A ship had crashed nearby and its passengers were stranded. Mira and Ravi worked together, using the ship's tools and Mira's abilities to help repair the damaged vessel and guide the travelers to safety. The travelers looked at Mira with awe, realizing she had powers beyond normal understanding. Mira felt pride and humility. For the first time, she used her abilities openly, not to defend herself but to help others. Ravi watched her with admiration. She had grown from a silent, chained girl into a confident, capable being. After their rescue mission, they returned to their ship. Mira looked out at the stars and whispered, "I never thought I could be like this. I never thought I could make a difference," Ravi smiled. "You always could. You just needed freedom and someone to believe in you. Now you know your own strength," Mira nodded. The memories of chains, fear, and silence were still with her, but they no longer controlled her. She had reclaimed her life, her voice, and her purpose. She was free, strong, and ready for the future. Weeks turned into months as they traveled through new systems. Mira's confidence grew, and her abilities became sharper. She began mapping energy flows in uncharted space, helping Ravi navigate safely. They discovered new planets, helped civilizations in need, and shared knowledge that improved lives. Through it all, their bond remained strong. Ravi's courage and patience, combined with Mira's strength and intelligence, allowed them to overcome every challenge. The universe was vast, full of unknown dangers, but also full of beauty and opportunity. Together they faced it with determination and hope. One night, as they rested on a small, quiet planet, Mira looked at Ravi. "Do you think my people would be proud of me?" she asked softly. Ravi took her hand and smiled. "I know they would. You survived, you learned, and you helped others. That is more than anyone could ask. You are your people's legacy, Mira, and now you will create your own legacy too." Mira felt tears in her eyes. She had spent years chained and silenced, yet now she could dream freely. She could help others, explore the galaxy, and live a life of courage and kindness. The past no longer controlled her. The future was hers to shape. As they gazed at the stars, Ravi whispered, "Tomorrow we continue our journey. There is so much to see, so much to learn. And we will face it together." Mira nodded, feeling a quiet joy. She was no longer a girl chained in the market. She was Mira, free, strong, and full of purpose. With Ravi by her side, she would explore the universe, help those in need, and shine her light wherever it was needed. The galaxy stretched before them, vast and full of possibility. Mira's heart swelled with hope and determination. She had survived chains, fear, and neglect. She had discovered her strength, learned to control her powers, and found a companion she could trust. The stars glimmered like promises in the night. Mira took a deep breath, feeling the freedom in every fiber of her being. She was ready to face whatever came next. She was no longer a prisoner of the past. She was the creator of her own destiny. And as Ravi piloted the ship through the endless expanse of stars, Mira leaned against him, feeling safe, strong, and unstoppable. Together they would explore, protect, and discover. Together they would shape a future filled with courage, hope, and freedom. The chains of the market were gone. The fear that once silenced her had vanished. Mira was free, and with freedom came the power to change the universe, one small act of courage at a time.